and a meeting with the president of Israel. And tomorrow there would also be memoranda of understandings which would be announced and press statements. So that's when we'll get an idea of whether there are any deals of major consequence which are announced.
Really puts both the itinerary and expectations. And as Vishnu was saying, of course, there are some very critical aspects in terms of defense technology. That is going to be the key focus. Remember, this is the visit that comes in after Operation Sindoor. And as Vishnu was highlighting, the key areas, the pieces where Israeli defense technology could really be a huge boost going forward, something that we found and discovered more so during Operation Sindoor. Vishnu, you've highlighted for us the specific aspects as far as the defense technology is concerned. You're right about saying that, when you talk about announcements, what really is like a big bang announcement. But beyond the defense aspect to it, the other aspect of this visit is also trade, is also the geopolitical messaging, is also the fact that you have Prime Minister Netanyahu wanting to have that hexagon of allies, isn't it?
No, 100%. And that's a key point. Israel wants to develop the relationship with India because it fulfills certain other Israeli foreign policy objectives, particularly in West Asia. By and large, India and Israel are agreed on many areas, but India has always stood by our independent foreign policy. One, we back our interests with Israel, which are critical with our interests in Iran. The fact that we've had a port, Chabahar, because of American sanctions, we can't operate that port, but we have historic links with Iran as well. We aren't doing away with those. We've spoken about a two-nation sort of theory as well, or two-nation. We have a belief in a two-nation system in Israel. We want the violence to absolutely end in the Gaza Strip. We want there to be no disproportionate loss of lives. At the same time, Israel and India are the strongest partners when it comes to the battle against terrorism. Israel reached out to us instantly almost when the Pahalgam terror attack took place. Israeli weapon systems were used to target Pakistani terror hubs when India launched Op Sindoor. So India's foreign policy is complicated, but I would suggest that it is entirely autonomous. So in as much as India's presence and our association with Israel is critical to Prime Minister Netanyahu because it fulfills some of their requirements, Israel and India are critical because it fulfills our requirements. And Gauri, you know this, perhaps better than I do, that the potential of the economic relationship is the Middle East corridor, which goes between Mumbai, then on to the countries such as Saudi Arabia, across Saudi Arabia, where it becomes a train link, and right on to Israel, where from ports in Israel, we would be able to do a trade with countries in Europe. The potential of that is absolutely immense. It brings together nations who have traditionally been rivals, for example, Saudi Arabia and Israel. But the prospects of this are incredibly important for India in the years forward. The port of Haifa, which is run by the Adani Group to a certain extent, where there are investors, becomes very, very important in the long run.
Connectivity piece, the trade piece, the global linkage piece that Vishnu was talking about. Viewers joining in right now, what they see on our screens right now are visuals coming in as Prime Minister Modi is set to land in Israel any moment now. Those are live pictures coming in. He's set to land at the Ben Gurion International Airport, and that is when the itinerary that Vishnu was highlighting for us, explaining to us the significance of each and every aspect in detail of that itinerary kicks in. And then, of course, there will also be that first will be that informal set of discussions that will take place. And then, of course, that will be followed by the bilateral delegation level discussions that will take place tomorrow. Vishnu, the one thing that where many are expecting is that the body language and the kind of rapport that the two leaders share is going to really be the big highlight of this visit, and actually the starting point for the entire discussions, isn't it? That's where it starts, and that's when the entire itinerary and some of the other aspects that you highlighted really take on and layer up on that.
There is atmospherics, and I personally don't place a great deal of merit on atmospherics alone. They are friends. It appeals to people across our country and on social media. You might have that picture of the Prime Minister in the Israeli Prime Minister's vehicle, and that photograph which is taken which has become a bit of a tradition in recent times, as you know. But I think the final paragraph in the statement which the Prime Minister released prior to his departure to Israel is important. The purpose of the visit: it will reaffirm the deep and long-standing strategic partnership between the two countries, present an opportunity to review the common challenges, as well as realign efforts towards their shared vision for a robust partnership between two resilient democracies. So the foundation of that relationship is very, very tight from a strategic perspective, an economic and defense perspective. But I would also like to stress, and this is critical, in as much as we talk about weapon systems and Israel being a part of the Atmanirbharta process in India in developing weapons, it's the people-to-people link which is incredible. Who would have thought that some of the strongest supporters for Israel and their fight against terror are people on social media in India? Who would have thought that there are so many young Israelis who complete their compulsory military training, who head to Leh, hop onto a bullet, and are seen going up and down from Leh to Kargil or in places of Goa? The fact that the Jewish community has lived for 1,000+ years in India without being persecuted in this country is something that is not lost on Israelis at all. And of course, there was baby Moshe, the little baby who was saved by his Indian nanny during the 26/11 attacks, who then gained Israeli citizenship because they respected her so much. That has struck a chord, a long chord with the people of Israel. So these are just a few points. It's a young relationship. People may forget that India established diplomatic ties with Israel to the extent that we see now, not too long ago, because our foreign policy interests prior to that were different. But since then, it has grown and grown massively. The images, of course, on your screen, Gauri, are of the Prime Minister's aircraft after it's landed at Ben Gurion International Airport in Tel Aviv.
Indeed, and Vishnu is absolutely correct in highlighting all those aspects, this historical significance and where the relationship stands now, and that dehyphenation that has been achieved under Prime Minister Modi's tenure, and that has been the case since 2017 when the first visit was undertaken. All right, let's get in Major Dan Pfefferman, who joins us on the broadcast. He's former IDF intelligence officer, editor of Middle East 24. Also with me is Shuki Friedman, Director General of the Jewish People Policy Institute, Ambassador Virendra Gupta, former ambassador who served in Israel as well. Thank you so much, all of you, for speaking to us on NDTV. And in fact, Ambassador Gupta, let me start with you, sir, in terms of the visit, the significance, the specific aspects that we are talking about and highlighting. In your assessment, if we were to start, what would you point out as the top 3 India's priorities from this visit of Prime Minister Modi right now? What should be India's 3 priorities?
It's an important visit, a full-scale diplomatic bilateral visit, which will go into the entire gamut of our bilateral relations. And as Vishnu said, after we set the diplomatic relations in 1992, I opened the Indian embassy there in Israel. Our relationship has been looking up and up, and it has now gone to a strategic connect. Prime Minister's visit has to be, I think, essentially seen in the bilateral context. We have areas, interest in many different areas: defense cooperation, technology cooperation, water resources, irrigation, agriculture, solar energy. All these areas were actually identified immediately after we opened the Indian embassy. Narsingh Rao, who is the Prime Minister, he sent Professor Swaminathan to look into what specific areas could be advanced. And I think he identified some of these areas. So I think Prime Minister is going to go into all these areas. Main focus would be on developing our cooperation with Israel in the area of missile defense. As you know, Operation Sindoor very vividly, demonstrated it. The warfare in the coming years is very much going to be dependent on the capability of countries with regard to missile defense and the ability to launch short-range and long-term missiles. And these are areas where Israel has done a lot of work. And I think it will benefit us a great deal to secure that collaboration, have Israelis come on board to manufacture some of these equipment, some of these things within India. So I think there are several areas in the defense cooperation which need to be fine-tuned. And I'm sure Prime Minister's visit will provide an opportunity to both countries. Now, one is hearing a lot about the context of what particular time Netanyahu's reference to hexagonal alliance, military alliance, and I think it'd be, I must note that it'd be very difficult for us to subscribe to any grouping which would seem to be directed against another country. India now very firmly wishes to underscore the point that we will develop our relationship with different groups of countries, optimize our relationship without one impacting on the other. So we are seeking to develop very strong bilateral relations, take it to the next level and take it further. But that will not be allowed to impact on our relationship with Saudi Arabia, with other Gulf countries, and also with Iran.
Very valid point, and I'm going to elaborate on just that because that really is something. There is an Israeli point of view. This is when you talk about what's in it for India. When there's also an aspect of what's in it for Israel. So that hexagon of allies is something that is a wish list that's coming from Israel. Before I take this forward, I want to rope in Aditya, who's joining us live from Israel. Aditya, any moment, the Prime Minister has already landed in Israel. This really kickstarts the tour and, the official itinerary now starts any moment now. Take us through what's lined up, the significance, and then we talk further.
Well, that's right, Gauri. Prime Minister Narendra Modi has landed in Tel Aviv. In a few minutes from now, he will be arriving in Jerusalem. But first, there'll be a short meeting between Modi and Netanyahu, where Netanyahu will be formally and officially welcoming Prime Minister Narendra Modi. I'm standing right outside the King David Hotel, where Prime Minister will be arriving in about 45 minutes from now. He will be, of course, welcomed by the Indian diaspora and a large section of the Jewish community. We spoke to a lot of them. There's a lot of excitement with Indian Prime Minister's visit, especially because there's been more than 2 years of conflict where there have been a lot of lives that have been lost. And at this crucial juncture, Indian Prime Minister choosing to come to Israel in spite of the geopolitical tensions sends a very strong and resolute message of India and Israel doing a new kind of tango and in fact spreading their wings to a new kind of a relationship, a new era. In fact, earlier today, exclusively NDTV spoke to the Israeli Minister for Economy and Industry, Nir Barkat, and also the Chief Economist of Israel, Dr. Abramson, both of whom reflected that the India-Israel FTA is on cards very soon, perhaps in the next 6 months. They also confirmed that there is a lot of discussion happening right now on joint manufacturing that could take place in India. That also includes defense and Iron Dome. That's a huge breaking news and headline coming to you from this India-Israel meeting taking place right now. Apart from that, the FTA, of course, is a big news. On defense and security cooperation, there is a lot of news, of course. And tomorrow is the day when the big bilateral takes place. We'll have a security cooperation agreement and other agreements on technology, agriculture, AI taking place on the sidelines of this visit. But the big headline, India and Israel are going to elevate their relationship to a spatial strategic partnership that is only next to US, Russia, and France. So that is a very, very significant thing happening. And lastly, India's focus towards the West Asia over the last decade, and especially in the last 2 years, Prime Minister's visit to Jordan, and of course to Oman, the FTA with Oman, and now the new connection with Israel. A new phase of the relationship is really, really driving India's West Asia policy together in the last decade. So that's been a strong focus of Prime Minister Narendra Modi and the Indian government. But in a few minutes from now, he will be arriving here. And of course, everybody in Israel is waiting to hear from the Prime Minister, who will be addressing the Knesset, the Israeli parliament, in a couple of hours from now.
Visuals that are coming in right now, you can see that the Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu and his wife Sarah Netanyahu are all set to welcome Prime Minister Modi at the airport. That's a special gesture that's been extended by Israeli Prime Minister. Those are live visuals coming in. Prime Minister Modi is expected to disembark any moment now, and he'll be received by the Prime Minister of Israel along with the First Lady of Israel, that's Sarah Netanyahu. So this gesture essentially is what signifies this entire relationship.
check. המשמר יציג את נשקו. הצג, צ'ק! המשמר יעבור לנוח, עמוד נוח.
Prime Minister Modi has landed at the Ben Gurion International Airport in Israel. He will be received by the Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu and his wife, First Lady of Israel, that's Sarah Netanyahu. And this marks the beginning of his two-day visit to Israel, where the focus will be on defense, strategic interests of the two countries, security, trade, technology, all of it coming together at a time of significant geopolitical headwinds that are taking place in that region itself. This will be an informal meeting that will take place between the two leaders, and then the formal delegation level talks will only take place tomorrow. And what you see on your screens are visuals coming in where Israeli Prime Minister has broken protocol. And Aditya, that's going to be extremely significant, isn't it? When you talk about this visit, when you talk about its significance, its importance, one needs to highlight this gesture by Prime Minister Netanyahu, where he's broken protocol, he's at the airport receiving Prime Minister Modi himself.
Netanyahu, and we saw warm hugs between the two leaders. So that is all about the special kind of relationship that Modi and Netanyahu really enjoy. India and Israel are coming together like never before. There's been 35 years of diplomacy that has taken. And there you have it. Prime Minister Narendra Modi, in fact, arriving in Israel. This is Tel Aviv's Ben Gurion Airport. The first glimpse of Prime Minister Narendra Modi in Israel amidst the geopolitical tensions. A huge message of India-Israel partnership, India-Israel diplomatic tango taken to another level. Tomorrow is the big announcement, but those live visuals coming to your screens from Israel at the Ben Gurion Airport, Prime Minister Narendra Modi arriving and leaving the Air India One and being received by Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu. Warm hugs again, yet again after 2017, more than 8 years ago. We had similar hugs taking place in India when Netanyahu visited India, and now Prime Minister Modi on the second visit to Israel being embraced by Prime Minister Netanyahu, a close friend of Prime Minister Modi. And next 2 days will have hectic diplomacy, but those visuals of a lot of color, a lot of vibrant energy between these two leaders. We have the First Lady Sarah also talking to Prime Minister Narendra Modi. They're greeting the Prime Minister. In a few minutes from now, there will be an informal meeting between these leaders. But those live visuals coming on your screens right now on NDTV of Prime Minister Narendra Modi being received by Prime Minister Netanyahu and Sarah Netanyahu. And now they are walking towards the other leaders who are present there. There are some pictures that are happening. A live video, of course, coming from the Ben Gurion Airport. Prime Minister also interacting with JP Singh, India's ambassador to Israel. And of course, Ruben Azar, Israel's ambassador to India. Both the ambassadors welcoming the Prime Minister. There are senior leaders from the IDF and the Ministry of Defense from Israel also now welcoming the Prime Minister to Israel. The official welcome ceremony taking place at the Ben Gurion Airport in Tel Aviv. As this moment, as Prime Minister, there's a laugh and a little banter taking place between these leaders as they walk the red carpet as Prime Minister Narendra Modi is received.
Indeed, and that's, I want to rope in Vishnu right there. This is a reset in terms of red carpet protocol. And I think that's the most significant aspect of it. There is symbolism, there is optics, but there's also now this relationship that's anchored by a significant leap that has taken place in terms of collaboration and intent from both sides.
It's not unusual. We've seen the Prime Minister reach out to foreign leaders. We've seen foreign leaders reach out to Prime Minister Modi. There is a personal equation between Prime Minister Netanyahu and Prime Minister Modi. They often, tweet messages to one another, particularly when there are events which are critical or events which impact the countries in one form or the other.
The welcome by Prime Minister Netanyahu, according to Prime Minister Modi, he's been received at the airport, the Ben Gurion International Airport. We're talking about symbolism, we're talking about optics, but we are also talking about a reset as far as red carpet protocol is concerned. And let me in fact take that to some of our guests with us on the broadcast. And you know, Ambassador Gupta, you want to take that before I get in our Israeli guests as well, that the significance of these optics?
And these optics always play an important role in terms of how people perceive it, social media perceives it. So it has a role, but one shouldn't read too much into it. There are so many areas where India and Israel have begun to cooperate and strengthen their cooperation. So I think it is just a given that relationship is advancing. So I think one has to look at what are the potentialities in those areas. And as I mentioned, there are several areas which are in our interest to develop, for a very long period. We kept away from Israel because of our domestic political considerations. But mind you, even at that time, there was a groundswell of public opinion within India. That's one thing that Vishnu alluded to. At the people-to-people level, there is tremendous amount of goodwill in India for Israel and in Israel for India, and I could witness it personally when I was in Israel. So I think that can be easily built upon to develop a close relationship.
Ambassador Gupta, I have to go back to the visuals, sir. That is the live visuals that are coming in. Prime Minister Modi being received by Prime Minister Netanyahu. You can see that we're calling it a red carpet reset in terms of protocol, where Prime Minister Netanyahu has personally welcomed Prime Minister Modi. Major Pfefferman, if one were to ask in terms of defense being such an important part and piece of this visit in terms of expectations, in terms of priorities, how do you see that, Major Pfefferman, in terms of the specific areas where you see defense tech cooperation between India and Israel likely to get a major boost after this visit?
Yes, this is certainly a historic day, and what we're seeing, as your correspondent said, is sort of a raising of the bar of this relations from what is already a strategic relation to a special strategic relationship, a level of relationship that Israel has with few countries, that India has with few countries. And so one of the elements of that is the level of technologies, of advanced military and defense technologies that Israel will be able to share with India. Of course, India is already Israel's largest defense export market at about $5 billion a year. And now what we could be seeing is also a shift into a mode where Israel is sharing the technology, but these technologies are then being developed and manufactured in India by Indian defense manufacturers. It's a very high level of cooperation. Of course, we're talking about sharing Iron Dome capabilities. There's been talk about the Iron Beam, Israel's new forthcoming laser capability against for missile defense. We're talking about different advanced surface to air capabilities for air defense. We're talking about ballistic missile capabilities, and of course, getting deeper and deeper into the realm of cyber, of AI, of quantum technologies. And so what we're seeing here is a fantastic evolution of this relationship. This is really a historic visit. Also within the geopolitical context, we're talking just 2 years and a half after a very tenuous time here in the region, at a time when it's possible that the United States and or Israel may conduct additional strikes and enter into an additional round of fighting with Iran, India's neighbor to the west. And looking at the kind of the bigger aspect here of building this alliance, you've talked about the hexagonal alliance, this strategic infrastructure, defense, economic alliance that's really spreading from India all the way into the Eastern Mediterranean. And so this is definitely a historic time at this moment, and we could be seeing additional defense MOUs and additional deals being signed or announced in this visit or in the coming time afterwards.
Indeed. So, in terms of our viewers tuning in right now, if you were to look at the big picture, or if one were to say the 30,000 feet view, one is the bilateral aspect of it, where you put in your defense, your trade, your technology, the people-to-people connect. And then on the other end, you have those big picture global issues. Israel's hexagon of allies, something that it pointed out. The Prime Minister of Israel said the two leaders likely to exchange notes, of course, on war clouds looming in the region. India's view of perceiving the Middle East completely different, because it has a good, warm, long-standing relationship with Iran, unlike what is the case with Israel. So there are essentially these two buckets of issues that are likely to come up. And Shuki Friedman, let me bring you in on just these, the bilateral aspect of it, but at the same time, those big picture global strategic priorities that is bringing the two nations together right now.
Thank you very much. First of all, I must share with you the favor of Israel towards the meeting, the visit of Prime Minister Modi here. In brings of maybe a war with Iran, the United States, maybe Israel, and everything is sensitive. And the fact that Modi decided to come in such days is really an expression to the strength of the relationship between the two peoples and the two countries. But you're definitely right. There is a wider picture, the wider strategic picture that definitely will be impacted by this visit and the strengthening of the alliance and elevating it to a strategic alliance between these two people and the two countries. You have mentioned before the potential on defense field, but there are also much more to do together. And there is a strategic partnerships that have been shaped through the recent years, through the Arab Accord, and then the I2, U2, and then the corridor that should go through Israel from India to Europe. So the alliance and strategic partnership is not just about buying or selling or sharing technologies and maybe supporting each other in developing the next stage of capabilities in different fields, but also a way to color the region and to strengthen the ability of the two people to express power and to be able to be part of the larger alliance aiming to
Indeed.
be strong against other trying to street India and also Israel.
Okay, so I'm going to now also come to the Sudarshan Chakra aspect to it and, get Vishnu on just why this piece of the visit is going to tie in with the Sudarshan Chakra aspirations of India, something that the Prime Minister announced. But before that, I want to play out this quick ground report that Aditya has filed where Vande Mataram echoed in Tel Aviv as Prime Minister Modi was being welcomed.
प्रधानमंत्री नरेंद्र मोदी कुछ ही देर में यहाँ पर जेरूसलम आने वाले हैं और यहाँ पर बहुत सारे लोग उत्सुक हैं उनका स्वागत करने के लिए। कैरन भी उन्हीं में से एक हैं। वो इंडियन क्लासिकल म्यूजिक में जो है बहुत रुचि रखती हैं, बहुत बार बार आई हैं और क्लासिकल म्यूजिक सीखा है। कैरन, हाउ एक्साइटेड आर यू? कैसा आपको महसूस हो रहा है? इफ यू कैन शेयर अ फ्यू लाइंस ऑन प्राइम मिनिस्टर्स विजिट।
मैं बहुत खुशी हूँ। आई एम वेरी वेरी एक्साइटेड टू बी हियर witnessing history and very, very happy and honored.
And are you going to sing a few lines for the Prime Minister? क्या प्रधानमंत्री के लिए कुछ लाइनें आप गाने वाली हैं? कौन सी लाइनें होंगी?
Vande Mataram.
Oh, कुछ आप गाना चाहेंगी?
Now that Vande Mataram should be sung the whole song, but I will sing songs, a short portion.
Right. Sure.
Vande Mataram, Vande Mataram, Sujelam, Sufelam, Malaya Shitalam.
Must say I had goosebumps, and this is so soulful and very powerful. Thank you very much for this. Just a line, because there's a lot of conflict in the world, there's a lot of bloodshed. Any message for peace through your singing as well? A couple of lines on that?
Yes. I will sing the peace mantra.
Yeah.
Sarva bhavantu sukhinah sarve santu.
All right. Let's get in now that detail that we were talking about, Vishnu, the Sudarshan Chakra announced by the Prime Minister last year on Independence Day. Help us understand that this visit, this particular aspect, how is that likely and set to get tied in?
So I'll give you the 4-minute version because I could as easily give you the 40-minute version. But the 4-minute version goes...
So is all yours.
It's actually just one element of their missile defense shield. In terms of Israel's missile defense shield, it starts with a new system that India is interested in called the Iron Beam, which is a laser-based system that intercepts incoming rockets and drones. Then, of course, there's a surface-to-air missile system called the Iron Dome, which we've seen in action repeatedly last year and in the past. Above that, there's something called David's Sling, which is a surface-to-air missile system. Then there is the American system called the Patriot, which Israel also operates, which plugs into this network. And finally, there is the Arrow system of interceptors, which are endo-atmospheric and exo-atmospheric. In other words, they can take on incoming ballistic missiles within the atmosphere or in space. So the systems themselves are driven by extremely powerful over-the-horizon radars. Now, what our panelists over here may not refer to, particularly the ambassador, but I have no problem in telling you, is that it was Israel which several years back transferred a couple of extremely important radar systems called the Green Pine radar system to India. That forms the bedrock of India's own missile defense system. We have since worked on these radars, which are over-the-horizon radars, which can actually pick up targets or incoming ballistic missiles from hundreds of kilometers away, and then it feeds this data onto surface-to-air missiles, which India operates. Some legs of India's Sudarshan Chakra or its missile defense shield already only incorporate Israeli missiles, but they also incorporate other missiles. In terms of Israeli surface-to-air missiles that we already operate, there is something called the Spider, there is the MRSAM, which will become the LRSAM. It's based on the Barak missile system, which Israel also uses. But it's the radar technology which Israel has often given us in the past, which forms very much the bedrock of all levels of India's missile defense shield, which saw action at so many levels during Op Sindoor between the 5th and the 8th of May last year, or from approximately the 7th to the 10th of May last year.
Indeed, and the fact that Operation Sindoor really caused that big reset as far as India's military objectives, priorities, and also our vision as such. That changed. And the fact that a government has time and again said that Operation Sindoor hasn't ended. Major Dan Pfefferman, your thoughts on what Vishnu just spoke about, India's aspiration to build that big Sudarshan Chakra. The Prime Minister mentioned that as our big mission in terms of our objective, our national security priority, and Israel, of course, providing us that big tech that could help us get there.
Yeah, I think this is the evolution of this strategic partnership and where it can go. We're talking about two democracies in a beleaguered area. We're talking about two countries that share similar threats. You're talking about at a time when India's main rival is also forming a growing military alliance with Israel's increasing rivals here. I'm talking, of course, about Pakistan on one side and kind of the rising hostility from the Turkey-Qatar alliance here in this part of the world. And so I think that this would be the natural evolution of what has been a phenomenal breakthrough in relations beginning 35 years ago from when the two countries didn't even have formal relations, growing into a very organically, very naturally into this defense, strategic, cultural alliance, and now this further upgrade into the special strategic alliance and all of these defensive capabilities that were mentioned, which Israel, of course, is a world leader in all of these, would greatly benefit India as well. The sharing of the technologies, the ability to place the manufacturing capacity in India, and then jointly be able to confront this similar array of threats. I think it's a very welcome upgrade. I think the picture in the background really shows it off. The warmth between these two world leaders. There's a great warmth between the peoples of Israel and the peoples of India, and it's only natural and welcome that this should also be expressed on the formal official level, as well as on the cultural level, as well as on the economic level. And so this is an important breakthrough in the relations.
Indeed, it is. And which brings me to ask the other aspect of this. We've been talking about the defense part of it, the trade part of it. Let's now also talk about, what is really happening in the region. Vishnu, today we had the State of the Union address where President Trump spoke very categorically about Iran. There are tensions in the Middle East. This visit happens at such a time. There is expectation that the two leaders, when they meet, they will discuss these major geopolitical upheavals as well. And that is likely to be a significant part of the discussions, the talks that will take place between the two sides.
Well, I think it is. It does certainly showcase how important Israel is to India when you have the Prime Minister traveling through a region which is, some would suggest on the verge of war. If America were to attack Iran, if Israel were to join in these operations, frankly, it could happen at any time, or it may not happen at all.
Yeah.
We're all hoping that there is, there is some progress in peace talks, which the Omani foreign minister is looking at tomorrow onwards in Geneva.
Yeah.
So we'll see what finally happens over there. But obviously it comes at a time of great stress and or tension in the region. But the Prime Minister believes it's important to take forward this relationship. So it's strongly endorsed visit, which he's not done.
Mm-hmm. Indeed, Ambassador Gupta, weigh in there as well in terms of some of the other global developments that we are talking about, the entire region being on the edge quite literally because of what is happening between the US-Iran tensions.
Well, I don't particularly pay much attention to that. I would tend to look at Prime Minister Modi's visit to Israel purely in the bilateral context. Primarily for the reason that the broader context which it is being placed by the Israelis doesn't suit us. It would put us in a huge dilemma to be seen as part of a developing alliance against any particular country, let alone Iran. So I think we are very clear. We have time and again stressed in our relationship with different groups of countries, America, for instance. At one point in time, there was a tendency in America to take us for granted and assume that India will go along with America in however they proceeded with the Ukrainian conflict, and we gave them a jolt when we said that we would rather go by strategic autonomy, examine the issues on its merit, and took a different position, mindful of our relationship with Russia. So I think keeping that in view in mind, in the Middle East also, we have a very clear objective. Our relationship, our foreign policy is very simple. Vishnu said it is complex and difficult. No, it is very simple. Simple is that we look at each different country on its own and seek to optimize our relationship, unmindful of what is happening. So we are very clear that one vector of our relationship, for instance, with Israel, is not going to impact on our relationship with Saudi Arabia. Our relationship with Saudi Arabia stands on its own. Our relationship with Iran stands on its own. So I don't think that we are placing this visit in the context of what is happening in the region.
Right. What I also meant, of course, was in the context of that hexagon of allies aspiration that Prime Minister Netanyahu had pointed out, and where, of course, he had expected that India will be an important player. And that, of course, is something that contradicts India's long-standing positions. Ambassador Gupta, as you also pointed out, our position has been that we take all nations independently, with keeping in mind India's interests. That come first, and that, of course, is completely distinct from what Israeli position is with regards to Iran. So that was the larger context in which, we were having this. But Major Pfefferman, your thoughts on, the entire region also going through a fair bit of volatility right now, and this visit coming in, and as Vishnu is pointing out, this also stresses the fact that how important Israel is for India, for Prime Minister Modi to be undertaking this visit at such a critical time.
It is, and it's a critical time certainly for Israel, who was attacked 2 years and 7 months ago by Hamas, but really by the entire Iranian. Appreciate India saying, or even saying it approaches each country individually and not as some kind of part or block. But this visit, the timing of the visit has a lot of meaning, and solidifying this kind of relationship, this corridor. We don't need to call it an alliance because it doesn't mean that it's against another group of countries. But it's an important statement, and the timing of the visit of when the Prime Minister Modi is arriving here to solidify, to upgrade this relationship with Israel, as rival kind of blocks are forming around the region, and it does not go unnoticed here in Israel.
All right, I'm going to leave it there. Thank you so much, gentlemen, for joining me on this very special broadcast. All eyes on Prime Minister Modi's visit to Israel. Next up, he will be arriving at the King David Hotel in about an hour's time from now, and the official itinerary is underway. The visit marks a very important time for India, where trade, defense, technology, people-to-people ties all will take center stage, keeping in mind the global political turmoil as well. With that, we're slipping into a break. Thanks so much for watching.
First India tour in your city. Rag on with Shankar Ehsan Loy and Siddharth Mahadevan and Shivam Mahadevan. 5 times melody, 5 times masti with NDTV Good Times. Go, grab your tickets.
Alright team, our new order show is ready. Now we need a promo. Something cool, something sharp. Well, I'm sure we'll be having outstanding reviews, solid suggestions,
expert advice,
the latest trends. It's a lot simpler. We'll help people make the right auto decisions. It's got the cool stuff, geeky stuff, serious stuff, all of it, so that you can discover, decide, and drive. I'm Siddharth Sharma, and I am your Automate.
For me is unfinished business. So I rewind, I pause, I reflect, I dig until what's buried stands up to be counted. Breaking ground, not just headlines, the meaning behind them. This is Breaking Ground with me, Vedika Sood.
Straight from the heart of the newsroom to the core of the stories shaping your world. Join me, Gargi Raut, as I track all the developments as they break. Live from the NDTV newsroom, weekdays at 4 p.m.
First India tour in your city. Rag on with Shankar Ehsaan Loy and Siddharth Mahadevan and Shivam Mahadevan. 5 times melody, 5 times masti with NDTV Good Times. Go, grab your tickets.
Sound check हो गया? Visuals ready? Lights okay? Everything is ready? Wait, are you ready? ये सिर्फ एक कॉन्सर्ट नहीं है. This is my life. This is my story. One night, no repeats. Book your tickets now.
इनको यहाँ से जाना ही होगा.
जय मां दुर्गा!
There is no bigger battle in 2026. And nobody has reported Bengal like I have. Buckle up for an unforgettable election thriller. Will the BJP breach Mamta's fortress?
TMC जावे, BJP आसपे.
Can Didi fight off her life's biggest challenge?
BJP double engine সরকার এই লড়াই বাঁচতে হবে.
Battleground Bengal with Manogya Loiwal.
The front lines of Kargil. The fury of Operation Sindhu.
So many attacks.
The chaos and cries of disaster zones. To fighter jet cockpits. And the world's most defining interviews.
It's incredible.
He has seen history break. Live. Unfiltered. 20,000 hours of live broadcasting.
Welcome to Left, Right and Centre.
Hard facts.
Kargil area.
North Ukraine and France in Italy. At Srinagar.
Vishnu Shom for NDTV.
Vishnu Shom. Only on NDTV.
From 1983 to now, I have seen cricket evolve, but the mindset to win never changed. I tell you that what win matches and what doesn't. This T20 World Cup, let's talk cricket, controversies and more on NDTV.
After the roaring success in Delhi, Hyderabad and Mumbai, the NDTV DP World PGTI Golf Pro-Am now travels to Ahmedabad. India's finest professionals, the city's most accomplished business leaders. Great golf, great company. NDTV DP World PGTI.
Welcome back. You're watching Prime 5 with me, Raisha Saigal. On the show today, Prime Minister Narendra Modi has just reached Israel a few moments back, and the bilaterals between both the leaders will start in moments from now. We will take you through the key highlights and what's on agenda during Prime Minister Modi's 2-day visit to Israel. Lots more lined up, but first, the headlines. Prime Minister Modi in Israel begins two-day visit, welcomed by Israel Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu, who broke protocol to Prime Minister. Modi set to address Knesset, which is the Israeli parliament. Defense talks on cards. Big update in the Goa Thar accident case where a 65-year-old tourist was killed. The 19-year-old accused is out on bail within hours of his arrest. A case of rash and negligent driving causing death was filed against the accused. Officers are investigating the allegations of a driver switch. NDTV coverage forces action. Heat on BSNL Babu's VIP trip planned to Prayagraj that involved 50 officials to manage every detail. From cars, bouquets to even underwear. Government issues show cause notice. BJP launches scathing attack on Gandhi family in the backdrop of the shirtless stir during AI summit, where workers sloganeered compromised Prime Minister. Now, BJP chief says Gandhi's always protected their interests. Union Minister says Nitin Nabin and Union Minister Piyush Goyal allege that Rahul has links to anti-India forces and the whole Gandhi family is compromised. Tamil Nadu Chief Minister M.K. Stalin targets Prime Minister Modi, accuses the Prime Minister of visiting states only during polls, also slamming the NDA alliance. He says the AIADMK and BJP put together account for 0% of the seats. Global embarrassment for Shehbaz Sharif. US President Donald Trump says Pakistan's Prime Minister told him that around 35 million people would have died in India's Operation Sindoor if not for US intervention for a truce. All right, we're getting you some breaking news top of Prime 5. This is, of course, regarding Prime Minister Narendra Modi's visit to Israel. Netanyahu, the Israeli Prime Minister, has now posted a welcome video on X, wherein Netanyahu broke protocol to welcome Prime Minister Narendra Modi at the airport. And that's the video, the visuals of the bonhomie, the camaraderie between both the leaders. Here we can see the Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu, along with his wife, the First Lady of Israel, giving a red carpet welcome to Prime Minister Narendra Modi as he landed at the Ben Gurion airport around 20 to 15 minutes back. Before Prime Minister Narendra Modi's visit to Israel, Bibi took to X and he said, "Welcome to Israel, my dear friend." The handshake, the warm hug between both the leaders, which only cements the strong ties between India and Israel. And that's the video which the Israeli Prime Minister has uploaded on X. It shows the Israeli Prime Minister breaking protocol as he reached the airport at the Ben Gurion airport to welcome Prime Minister Narendra Modi. There, after which the Indian national anthem was played after Prime Minister Narendra Modi landed at the Ben Gurion airport in Israel. Remember, this is a historic, a strategic visit by the Indian Prime Minister to Israel. He will be there for 2 days, and later today there will be bilaterals. And here we have the visuals of Prime Minister Narendra Modi and the Israeli Prime Minister in the car. Something like this had also happened back then when they had met at the other summit. But here they are en route Tel Aviv, and this picture just showcases the bonhomie and the camaraderie that both the leaders share. Ahead of Prime Minister Modi's visit to Israel, the Israeli Prime Minister had said that my dear friend Prime Minister Modi will be reaching Israel, and that's the visual that we are showing you, the bonhomie between both the leaders. Prime Minister Modi also meeting with Israel's First Lady, the Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu's wife there, wherein the Israeli Prime Minister broke protocol and was there at the airport, at the Ben Gurion airport, waiting to welcome Prime Minister Modi as he has just landed in Ben Gurion airport. Well, Prime Minister Narendra Modi has now landed in Tel Aviv for a 2-day state visit to Israel. This is his first since the Gaza war. In a special gesture, the Israeli Prime Minister personally received him at the airport, breaking protocol. The two leaders then shared a warm hug and handshake on the tarmac before Prime Minister Modi was given a red carpet welcome and also a ceremonial guard of honor. Now, during his visit, Prime Minister Modi is said to address the Israeli parliament, which is the Knesset. They have key and major interactions also slated with the Indian diaspora. And well, my colleague Aditya Raj Kaul is there in Israel. But before we go across to him, take a look at these visuals that we're playing it out for you on your screens right now, which shows the camaraderie between both the leaders. Remember, Prime Minister Narendra Modi will be the first leader to address the Knesset later. But here we see the bonhomie and the camaraderie.
Let's be It's good to see you. Like, no great of it. This is good.
Wow.
How are you? You see what you want? Look at the color.
My brother. The color.
Thank you.
I'm so hungry. And I miss India. What is that? So, wonderful country.
It's a wonderful leader.
I know. It's because of you. It was wonderful.
And welcome, my friend.
Thank you.
All right, let's go across to my colleague Aditya Raj Kaul, who's joining us live from Israel. Aditya, there we saw the bonhomie between both the leaders, with Bibi, the Israeli Prime Minister, breaking protocol to receive the Indian Prime Minister. Tell us more about that strong handshake, the warm hug that the world will be looking at.
Certainly, it's a very significant and critical visit of Prime Minister Narendra Modi coming to Israel at a time of geopolitical tension. There's been more than 2 years of conflict in Gaza against the Hamas terrorism, but also there's been conflict around...
We're showing you the live visuals of Prime Minister Narendra Modi and the Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu. In moments from now, there will be bilaterals which will take place between both the leaders. And like Aditya was also mentioning, that the camaraderie and the bonhomie is just too strong between both the leaders. But Aditya, I just want to come across to you while you're talking about the camaraderie between both the leaders. We will be having those bilaterals between Bibi and Modi in moments from now, while there's defense and energy. Talk to us more about what all can we expect, any big ticket announcements after the bilaterals today.
Well, certainly it's a big visit of Prime Minister Narendra Modi. Those live visuals coming on your screens is of the informal meeting that is taking place in Tel Aviv between Prime Minister Modi and Prime Minister Netanyahu. The visit comes at a very significant time of geopolitical tension. There is a lot of speculation about whether US will have some kind of preemptive strikes against Iran. That would be a subject of discussion between Modi and Netanyahu. In a few minutes from now, Prime Minister Modi will be heading to Jerusalem, where the Indian diaspora and the Jewish community will be welcoming him at the King David Hotel. But later today is the most significant aspect of the entire visit, which is the address of Prime Minister at the Knesset, which is the Israeli parliament. Indian Prime Minister is the second Indian leader to address the Israeli parliament. We had the President of India, President Pranab Mukherjee, come here in 2015. I was lucky to be here at that time as well, when Pranab Mukherjee addressed the Knesset and spoke about India and Israel warmth. But today is even more better, because in the last decade, there has been tremendous cooperation between India and Israel, especially when it comes to defense, AI, technology, agriculture, and water management as well. Innovation is a big subject of discussion. What we are learning through top sources in the Indian government and the Israeli government is that the entire gamut of the relationship and diplomacy between India and Israel will be now taken to another level and could be basically called a spatial strategic partnership. This is only second to US, Russia, and France that enjoy a bigger cooperation on strategic ties with India. So that is very, very significant. Already there is FTA negotiation taking place between India and Israel. There's a team from the Israeli Ministry of Commerce and Economy that is in India right now. And lastly, I spoke to Nir Barkat, who is the Minister for Economy, who also confirmed that there could be joint manufacturing taking place in India that is also under talks as part of the larger FTA. And this could be also potentially in the defense sector. Iron domes could be made in India, and that would be a huge win-win for Israel and India. So Prime Minister Modi in Israel, a huge, focus on the elevation of the diplomatic ties. And now the significant portion will be tomorrow when the bilateral talks take place. And of course, we'll have discussions around that.
Right, Aditya, while you've given us a lowdown of all the issues, the topics that we can expect from agriculture to FTA to energy and even defense cooperation between both the countries, Aditya, but talk to us more about the bonhomie, the people-to-people ties between India and Israel, which we are witnessing today because Prime Minister Narendra Modi will be meeting the Indian diaspora later in the evening. Talk to us more about how both the leaders come together at a time when there's also a global geopolitical churn that we are witnessing.
Well, there's a huge people-to-people contact. Israelis love Indian culture. In fact, when their mandatory IDF training takes place, after that, they come to India at least for 3 months to relax. Not just diplomats, but people from the army, people from different backgrounds, and particularly Indian Jewish community from Maharashtra to Kerala to the Northeast have been taking Alaya and in fact coming to Israel and staying here. Apart from that, recently AI Summit took place in Delhi and there was a huge participation from the Israeli side, not just from the government, the Israeli digital agency, but also from the private sector. So could we see expansion of the people-to-people contact, easier travel regime between India and Israel? And of course, in a few minutes from now, right behind me at the King David Hotel, Prime Minister Narendra Modi will be arriving. He'll be received by a strong Indian diaspora. There will be a few cultural performances as well in honor of the Prime Minister. Yesterday, we saw the Israeli Parliament, the Knesset, lit and illuminated in Indian tricolor in respect and honor of the Prime Minister. And there are hundreds of people from the Jewish community and the Indian diaspora who have lined up right behind me here to welcome the Prime Minister. There is a huge people are speaking about Shalom Namaste.
Yes.
That is how they greet in India and in Israel. And of course, while there is a lot of strategic importance to this visit, there is a lot of soft power, there's a lot of color, and there's a lot of people-to-people contact as well.
Absolutely, Aditya. A lot of soft diplomacy there also on the surface between Prime Minister Modi and the Israeli Prime Minister. Aditya, stay with us. Let's just show our viewers these visuals of both the leaders, the strong friendship between India and Israel. But I also have with us Orly Witzman. She's the Consul General of Israel to South India. Welcome to NDTV, ma'am. First up, how is Israel viewing this visit at a time when there are geopolitical tensions, at a time when the Geneva talks are all slated to take place tomorrow between Iran and the US? At such a crucial moment in geopolitics, we have the Indian Prime Minister there visiting Israel. How is Israel viewing this visit?
Okay, so first of all, I think the pictures speak for themselves. I think I'm sitting here watching as you were speaking, and to see the camaraderie and the real true friendship between our prime ministers is something that's really heartwarming. And I think anything I can't say anything to add because the pictures speak for themselves, and we can all see how amazing this relationship is, especially in times where the world is going through such changes and they're very interesting geopolitical times. I think it's important to realize the importance and the strength of the friendship between our two nations. And Modi's visit today is a true testament of that. And I think we're all very, very in Israel. All Israelis are very happy and excited. And your colleague was describing the atmosphere in Israel. And there is a lot of love for Indians in Israel, and a lot of appreciation for India's support throughout the past few years, especially during the hard times that Israel was going through. So I think the pictures themselves show that.
Right, absolutely, ma'am. We also had the leading dailies in Israel, including the Jerusalem Post, having the front page with Prime Minister Modi's image saying, "Welcome, Prime Minister Modi to Israel." If you want to talk to us more about that, and also the timing of this visit, and what kind of messaging does this visit by Prime Minister Modi to Israel? He will be the first Indian leader to address the Knesset later in the evening. What kind of a message does this send across to the world?
So I think the message is very clear. I think that the message is loud and clear. India and Israel are strategic partners, are close friends, and they will work together. And this has been, the beauty of this is that it doesn't end in just the pictures that we're seeing now. These lovely pictures of the closeness and likability between the two prime ministers are only an indication of a much deeper relationship. And I think that I took a few delegations of Indians to Israel during 2025, and I think during all of them, the Indians were amazed at how much love they received, even on the streets, even riding the buses from Israelis. Israelis have a real true appreciation of not only Indian culture, but also Indian people. And there's a real sense of understanding of one another. We face the same. We're both democracies. We both have very similar values, and we both grow up and live through the same kind of threats and same kind of challenges that maybe the rest of the world doesn't understand as much. And these things together bring the closeness to not only the bilateral official level, but also down to the common people. But whether it's in India, whether it's in Israel, and that's I think the true testament of the friendship, that it trickles all the way down, from the top all the way down to the people themselves.
Absolutely, Ms. Wetzman. While you've given us a lowdown of the bonhomie, the camaraderie, the people-to-people cultural ties between both the countries, talk to us more about how both India and Israel also share common values, common ambitions as well, because we also had the counter-terrorism meet which concluded yesterday, and also with the Israeli Prime Minister pitching for the Hexagon alliance with India.
Absolutely. So I think that if we're talking, you asked about shared values. To shared values, we can talk about all different levels of shared values. If it's even at the family level, at the personal level of how we value our families. I've been living in India for the past 18 months, and I think what amazed me most was how similar Israelis and Indians are in sense of, what the importance we put on family, the importance we put on education, and then of course also the importance on the bigger things like, democracy, freedom, equality. These are things that are very important to both our nations. And of course, we all understand that these things are important, especially when we have threats. I mean, Israel constantly is being threatened. We just finished we're just sort of exiting a 7-front war. India, too, was facing the Sindoor operation during the past encounter. It has to be fought, and we have to do this. We have to put this, protecting our people, protecting Indians, protecting Israelis, is a value that we all appreciate.
Right. While both India and Israel share common values, we will, of course, have the bilaterals take place during Prime Minister Narendra Modi's visit. There's lots on the cards, from FTA, agriculture, energy, to even defense. What are you looking at? Are you expecting any big-ticket announcements between India and Tel Aviv?
So again, I think you've named all the subjects that they'll be talking about, and I think the cooperation has been going on for years. If we look at sectors like water and agriculture, the more, I would say, traditional sectors that we've been cooperating in years, now because the world is evolving and, there are new frontiers, AI, quantum, things that we haven't addressed just because they didn't exist in the past, and now they do. So these will also be looked at and see how, even in the new fields that are developing, how we can deepen the cooperation in those fields as well.
Right. Thank you so much, Ms. Wetzman, for joining me here on NDTV and sharing your insights with us. We'll, of course, be tracking this historic visit by Prime Minister Modi to Israel. All right. My colleague Aditya Raj Kaul, who is reporting live from Israel, earlier spoke with an Israeli there who sang Vande Mataram. Take a look.
प्रधानमंत्री नरेंद्र मोदी कुछ ही देर में यहाँ पर जेरूसलम आने वाले हैं और यहाँ पर बहुत सारे लोग उत्सुक हैं उनका स्वागत करने के लिए। कैरन भी उन्हीं में से एक हैं। वो इंडियन क्लासिकल म्यूजिक में जो है बहुत रुचि रखती हैं, बहुत बार आई हैं और क्लासिकल म्यूजिक सीखा है। कैरन, हाउ एक्साइटेड आर यू? कैसा आपको महसूस हो रहा है? इफ यू कैन शेयर अ फ्यू लाइंस ऑन प्राइम मिनिस्टर्स विजिट।
मैं बहुत खुशी हूँ। I'm very, very excited to be here, witnessing history, and very, very happy and honored.
And are you going to sing a few lines for the Prime Minister? क्या प्रधानमंत्री के लिए कुछ लाइनें आप गाने वाली हैं? कौन सी लाइनें होंगी?
Vande Mataram.
Oh, कुछ आप गाना चाहेंगी?
Now that Vande Mataram should be sung, the whole song, but I will sing songs, a short portion.
Right. Sure.
Vande Mataram, Vande Mataram, Sujalam Sufalam, Malaya Shitalam.
Must say I had goosebumps, and this is so soulful and very powerful. Thank you. Shed any message for peace through your singing as well? A couple of lines on that.
Yes, I will sing the peace mantra.
Yeah.
Om Sarva Yaminikinah Save Santu.
All right, so there, Aditya Raj Kaul giving us a lowdown of the strong cultural ties between India and Israel. Well, we have with us a few guests to tell us more about this bonhomie, about Shalom Namaste, Prime Minister Modi there in Israel. We have with us Pinak Ranjan Chakravarti is a former ambassador, and we also have with us Irina Sukuman. She's a geopolitical analyst. Coming to you first, Mr. Chakravarti. How do you view this visit by Prime Minister Narendra Modi, his second visit to Israel, but his first after the war in Gaza got over?
It certainly is a milestone in terms of our bilateral relationship, which I have seen from the beginning because I was posted in Israel from 1995 to 1999. And I can sort of, humbly claim that some of the foundations were laid during those years, and including the burgeoning defense and technology relationship, the relationship in agriculture and irrigation. Lots of things happened during that time. And now, over the years, it has simply, gathered momentum and has increased to a level where today we are talking about a special strategic relationship. There is no doubt that Israel and India have developed, very key sort of connectivities in domains which are crucial to both.
Right. Mr. Chakravarti, stay with us. We have some breaking news right now for our viewers. Prime Minister Narendra Modi's first message after Israel touched down. He's taken to X and he's written, thankful to Prime Minister and Mrs. Netanyahu for the warm welcome. This was, of course, after the Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu, along with Israel's First Lady, broke the protocol to receive Prime Minister Modi. Before we go across to our guests, take a look at this video which Prime Minister Modi posted.
You see what you wore? Absolutely. Look at the color. My brother.
And I need wonderful country.
It's a wonderful
I
leader.
I know. Because of you. Wonderful.
Welcome. Great. We have a lot to talk about. Going good?
All right, before we go across to Mr. Chakravarti, let's just tell you the brief conversation that happened between both the leaders. Here, the Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu hugs Prime Minister Modi and says, good to see you, to which Prime Minister Modi, of course, returned the gesture. Netanyahu says that his wife, the First Lady of Israel, is perhaps wearing the saffron color, and he says that she's wearing this color for you, Prime Minister Narendra Modi. Of course, you see the pocket square that Prime Minister Modi is wearing, and the color of the Israeli First Lady is perhaps saffron and matching. All these small gestures only point out towards the bonhomie, towards the respect, the camaraderie that both India and Israel share with each other. Let's get our guests back into this conversation. Coming to Mr. Chakravarti, yes, you were talking about the big ticket announcements that we can expect from agriculture, energy to free trade agreement. Talk to us more about that and also the significance of this visit, especially at a time when we are witnessing geopolitical churns, when there's that high stakes Geneva talks slated to take place between Iran and US tomorrow. But amid all of this, we have the Indian Prime Minister there in Israel.
I mean, West Asia is facing a crisis, which could blow up into a military crisis as well. Nobody wants a military crisis there. Nobody wants a war, that is for sure. But yes, negotiations are going on, so we'll have to keep our fingers crossed and wait for what happens in the negotiations. And the timing of the visit, I don't link it to anything that is happening there, because India and Israel share a lot of common interests. Yes. I mean, otherwise you wouldn't have this kind of personal relationship, which also feeds into those ties which have grown over the years. But there's a lot of work to do. I think a lot of defense technology and other areas, you will probably see some agreements that will happen, and these are really strategic because Israel is a very high technology society and a country, and they have really mastered some of the technologies that that are very useful in today's modern sort of conflicts. And India has been cooperating with Israel. I remember when handling defense affairs in Tel Aviv, so many, I think, issues and so many things that were happening at that time. And there was a lot of cooperation. And I think that has progressed a lot. I mean, new technologies have come up. And I think the experience that Israel has had in combating, for example, missiles and other rockets that are being hurled at it, during the conflict in Gaza. And I think those are lessons that both countries have learned. We have learned it from Op Sindoor as well. So I think there will be a lot of collaboration in this aspect. Basically, what we say is that, the defense technologies that basically are preventive in nature.
Right, Mr. Chakravarti, absolutely, Ambassador.
Creating missile defense, etc.
Right, Ambassador. And like you also mentioned, after the Pahalgam terror attack and after October 7, there's also counter-terrorism, which has become one of the common areas of between India and Israel. Well, we're just showing you these images of two strong leaders, one clear message, the bonhomie between Prime Minister Narendra Modi and the Israeli Prime Minister. We saw the huge, the red carpet welcome given by the Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu to Prime Minister Modi, where he broke the protocol and he was there at the Ben Gurion Airport to welcome, in his words, in Bibi's words, my dear friend, Prime Minister Modi. A short while ago, we also showed you those visuals of the informal meet and greet between both the leaders, after which, of course, Prime Minister Narendra Modi will be meeting the Indian diaspora there in Israel. But the big image is that of the hug, the handshake and the bonhomie. We'll be tracking this very closely, but let's tell you more about the timing of this visit by Prime Minister Modi to Israel. Now, Prime Minister Modi's Israel visit comes at a time when war clouds loom over Iran. West Asia is grappling with uncertainty and sharp geopolitical divides. Prime Minister is building deep strategic ties with Israel, strengthening defense and energy partnerships with the Gulf, while also maintaining diplomatic channels across the region. Now, his outreach to Jordan and Oman last year signaled that India is not just an energy buyer anymore, but also a security and strategic stakeholder in the Gulf. At the same time, Arab foreign ministers lined up visits to New Delhi, a clear message that India is seen as a stable, trusted and growing economic force. And when UAE President Mohammed bin Zayed Al Nahyan visits India, it was not just a ceremonial diplomacy. It signaled deep trust, defense cooperation, investment flows, and long-term strategic alignment. In a region defined by fluid alliances, India has positioned itself as a country everyone can do business with. This is Prime Minister Modi's West Asia power play, multi-alignment without entanglement, trade without tensions, and strategic autonomy in action. And well, to tell us more about Prime Minister Modi's West Asia push, we have with us Irina Sukuman. She's a geopolitical analyst. But you're a geopolitical analyst yourself. Talk to us more about how all the countries in West Asia, they want to befriend India, including Israel. And what kind of a messaging does this send across? Because tomorrow we have the Iran-US talks in Geneva.
Thank you so much. The visit to Israel is extremely important. Of course, it comes in light of important strategic developments in the region. Of course, there's the talk about a potential Iran strikes. India is sending a message that, on the one hand, it values stability in the Gulf. And that's the message it's sending to the Gulf partners. On the other hand, it's growing a security relationship with Israel, which is increasingly seen as an important buffer against regional instability from extremist forces, be they state or non-state actors. At the same time, India is also collaborating with a number of actors on strategic initiatives in the region, and we're talking about taking the idea of the IMEC corridor, the economic and security corridor that was envisioned by President Biden, but has also been a strategic priority for the Trump administration, to the level of practical implementation. We're also talking about the I2U2 initiative that brings together UAE, India, US, and Israel
right,
into this new type of Quad in the region. All of these things are weighing into the current discussions in Israel as well. One of the major announcements that is expected to take place over the course of the region is an announcement of a major defense deal. This will cement relations between Israel and India and take it beyond tactical cooperation on security, counter-terrorism matters, and towards a more strategic posture.
Right, absolutely. You've given us a gist of Prime Minister Modi's by-station push and the strong ties in both the countries. I'm also being joined by Saul Sadka. He's an Israeli author. Mr. Sadka, welcome to NDTV. I want to first ask with you that, are you joining us live from Israel? What's the mood and sentiment like there for Prime Minister Modi's two-day visit to Israel? We saw the leading dailies in Jerusalem Post and all in Israel having that big picture of Prime Minister Modi saying, welcome Prime Minister Modi to Israel. So what's the sentiment? What's the mood like there in Israel?
Oh, well, there's genuine delight to see Prime Minister Modi coming after a few years where he hasn't been here. He is a popular figure here among many, many people. Visit of Trump that happened a few weeks ago. And the roads are all going to be closed to get into Jerusalem. And he's going to be having a reception first at the Knesset, where he will meet all the Israeli politicians, and then at the King David Hotel, made for much fame. And he will be certainly shown a very good time. The relationships between Israel and India are a growing feature of the region here, and everything in between. And hopefully, this will be a breakthrough in terms of the future of the Israel-India relationship.
Absolutely, because this is an important visit by Prime Minister Modi to Israel. A first leader, Indian leader, to be addressing the Knesset later in the day, and just a second global leader to visit Israel after the war in Gaza. That's after the US President Donald Trump. But thank you so much for joining us on NDTV and sharing your insights with us on this huge, big visit by Prime Minister Modi to Israel. On that note, we slip into a very short break, but come right back. Lots more lined up.
Hello, Moto.
Motorola, India's leading AI smartphone brand. Motorola Signature, India's #1 camera phone. Grab Motorola Signature today.
करियर से अर्ली रिटायरमेंट के लिए रेडी और अपने पैशन को करियर बनाने के लिए भी रेडी। पीएनबी मेटलाइफ रिटायरमेंट प्लान्स के साथ लॉक करें 10.2% गारंटीड एन्युटी रेट फॉर लाइफ, ताकि आप रहे ऑलवेज रेडी। पीएनबी मेटलाइफ, ऑलवेज रेडी फॉर लाइफ।
First India tour in your city. Rag on with Shankar Ehsaan Loy and Siddharth Mahadevan and Shivam Mahadevan. 5 times melody, 5 times masti with NDTV Good Times. Go grab your tickets.
Alright team, our new order show is ready. Now we need a promo. Something cool, something sharp.
Well, I'm sure we'll be having outstanding reviews, solid suggestions.
They've got the cool stuff, geeky stuff, serious stuff, all of it, so that you can discover, decide and drive. I'm Siddharth Sharma and I am your Automate.
What seems settled for me is unfinished business. So I rewind, I pause, I reflect, I dig until what's buried stands up. to be counted. Breaking ground, not just headlines, the meaning behind them. This is Breaking Ground with me, Vedika Sood.
Straight from the heart of the newsroom to the core of the stories shaping your world. Join me, Gargi Raut, as I track all the developments as they break. Live from the NDTV newsroom, weekdays at 4 p.m.
First India tour in your city. Rag on with Shankar Ehsaan Loy and Siddharth Mahadevan and Shivam Mahadevan. 5 times melody, 5 times masti with NDTV Good Times. Go, grab your tickets.
Sound check हो गया? Visuals ready? Lights okay? Everything is ready? Wait, are you ready? ये सिर्फ एक कॉन्सर्ट नहीं है. This is my life. This is my story. One night, no repeats. Book your tickets now.
इनको यहाँ से जाना ही होगा.
There is no bigger battle in 2026. And nobody has reported Bengal like I have. Buckle up for an unforgettable election thriller. Will the BJP breach Mamta's fortress?
TMC जावे, BJP आसमे.
Can Didi fight off her life's biggest challenge?
BJP double engine সরকার এই লড়াই বাঁচতে হবে.
Battleground Bengal with Manogya Loiwal.
The front lines of Kargil. The fury of Operation Sindoor.
So many attacks.
The chaos and cries of disaster zones. To fighter jet cockpits. And the world's most defining interviews.
It's incredible.
He has seen history break. Live. Unfiltered. 20,000 hours of live broadcasting.
Welcome to Left, Right and Centre.
Hard facts.
War-struck country.
Hard questions.
In the Ukraine.
30 years of trust.
In the Kargil area. North Ukraine. In France, in Italy. At Srinagar.
Vishnu Shom for NDTV.
Vishnu Shom. Only on NDTV.
From 1983 to now, I have seen cricket evolve, but the mindset to win never changed. I tell you that what win matches and what doesn't. This T20 World Cup, let's talk cricket, controversies and more on NDTV.
After the roaring success in Delhi, Hyderabad and Mumbai, the NDTV DP World PGTI Golf Pro-Am now travels to Ahmedabad. India's finest professionals, the city's most accomplished business leaders. Great golf, great company. NDTV DP World.
Welcome back. You're watching Prime 5 with me, Raisha Sehgal, and shifting our focus to other big story. A shocking case of rash driving in Goa, where a 65-year-old man has been killed after a Thar allegedly rammed into his car. The accused, 19-year-old Shaurya Goel from Delhi, was in Goa on a vacation. Police say he was behind the wheel when the SUV crashed into another vehicle, leading to the elderly man's death. Goel was arrested but granted bail within hours, raising serious questions. Investigators are also probing whether there was an attempt to swap seats after the crash. Meanwhile, speaking to NDTV, the accused mother has made startling claims. She says her son did not flee the spot, was not drunk, and insists the victim died of a heart attack. She also claims the ambulance arrived late. The case has now triggered outrage with questions over accountability and the speed of bail.
The person who was driving the accused person, his name is Mr. Shaurya Goyal, son of Apurva Goyal, age 19 years. He was from Hauskers, South West Delhi. He drove Rivi 5695 while proceeding from Mapsa to Anjuna in a rash and negligent manner without taking proper care and caution and endangering human life.
Meanwhile, eyewitnesses allege that Shaurya was seen swapping seats with the female driver who was actually driving the car. Take a look.
म्हणतात ते ताराचे प्रॉब्लेम आशिल्ले तार गाडी चलयताले पळय तेंचे चेडू चलयताले एकले गोवा ते मारल्या उपरांत गाडी शिफ्ट केली ड्रायव्हिंग सीट चेंज केले तेंचे आनी तितलेच आतां मारल्या उपरांत ते दोग जाण सिनियर सिटीजन मातशे सिरियस जाल्ले आसा आनी धाकटुले बेबी आहले ते मातशे हांव नको कहें करून ते बरें जालें नॉर्मल जालें.
एक्सिडेंट कसो कितें गाडी खंयसून खंय येतल्यो?
एक्सिडेंट ते एक विनायका रोड आसा पळय आनी एक वो पारा वयता रोड एक अंजुना वयता ती म्हापशा वयताली पळय.
Meanwhile, in a video, the mangled white I-20 is seen moments after the collision as the boy from the Thar steps out and is heard telling his father, "Dad, I was driving. Another car was coming at the intersection. Dad, suddenly there was a crash." Take a listen.
पापा मतलब चौराहा था मैं जो सामने से एक साइड से आ रहा था एंड जस्ट क्रैश.
All right, my colleague Akhil Jamil is now joining me live. Akhil, tell us more about where the investigation is headed to in this Goa Thar crash, because there are questions being raised on how quickly was that bail given to that 19-year-old boy.
Well, that's right. If you see, initially what we have got to learn that there was certainly a delay from the side of the investigation which was conducted by the police team, because initially when that incident has started at around, the incident has unfolded at around 5:45 p.m. And later on what we have seen that the FIR was filed later at night on 23rd of February at around 11 p.m. So certainly there was a delay, approximately a 5-hour delay in filing the FIR in connection with the case. And later on what we have seen that after the FIR was filed, the accused in this case was later on arrested and was granted bail, because if you see the section which has been imposed was of driving without negligence, and due to which what we have seen that the second section which was slapped in this case was of the rash driving as well. So both the sections are bailable sections, and after that what we have seen that he was granted bail. And in this case we have also spoken to the accused mother. She was saying that when that incident has taken place, my son was there. She has basically given us a clean check to his son. She was saying that her son was present over there and he did not flee from the spot, and the ambulance arrived very late, and it has arrived approximately 45 to 50 minutes late. That's why there was a delay, and due to which this individual has basically lost his life. So certainly, once the post-mortem report will come out, then only things will become clearer that that individual, the victim in this case, now deceased, has lost his life due to a heart attack or due to the impact of the collision that has taken place between the SUV car and the I-20 car.
Right, Akhil, we'll of course be tracking this story, the menace on road, young and reckless, very closely with you, but thanks for getting us the latest, Akhil. Well, we have some breaking news coming in for you at this point of time. This is again regarding the row created by Kerala Story 2. The hearing has said of the Kerala Story 2 says centre bats for directors. Centre petitioner has no legal standing. It again says centre censor board had already cleared the movie, and YouTube teaser not certified by CBFC. This is the big takeaways from the Kerala Story 2 hearing. And well, Ashwin Nandakumar is now joining me live from Trivandrum. Ashwin, give us a lowdown of the key takeaways of the Kerala Story 2 hearing, where the centre has said petitioner has no legal standing. Right, and we have my colleague Ashwin. Yes, Ashwin, that's that. Yes, please go ahead.
Resha, in fact, the union government has completely supported the filmmakers and has gone forward to state that the petition that has been filed against the release of the movie must be dismissed at any cost. In fact, this was submitted based on several such points. They have said that the CBFC is well informed about the movie, and in fact, there were multiple activists, including that from Kerala, who saw the movie and then only the certification was given. It was there were several cuts which was done in the movie, and not just that, they went on to even say that the teaser of the movie, which is released on YouTube, does not come under their ambit, and then even requested the court to dismiss it. However, today Justice Bechu Kurian, who was a single judge bench, heard this and gave a serious warning to the union government also. What was witnessed in the court was absolutely dramatic. In fact, Bechu Kurian said that they should not be pushing the court for a decision soon, and in fact deferred the hearing as well, and went on to even say there was a judge's observation was that the Centre Council cannot state whether a petition should be taken in or should it be dismissed. That is the part of the court to decide. And certainly the court also made several stark observations, such as the filmmakers not allowing the court to see the movie. So certainly such observation was also made. At the same time, the court said very categorically that they would want to hear all sides of the story before coming in to a final order, and therefore the petition has been deferred for tomorrow, and the court is going to hear. In fact, the filmmaker even requested the court today, Rahesha, that they don't have time, the release is day after tomorrow, international release has to be done. To that the court said no, strictly no, said only after the hearing it can be proceeded. So certainly the court has put its foot down, and the matter will be heard tomorrow.
Yes,
Rahesha.
Ashwin, while you've given us a lowdown on the key takeaways from that court hearing on Kerala Story 2, I also want to ask you that this verdict by the centre, which they've said that the movie does not threaten public order and creative freedom is perhaps allowed. All this, of course, comes at a time when there was a row going around over that beef eating scene, which we're also showing to our viewers right now, where a Hindu woman is perhaps asked to eat beef. And we also heard the Kerala Chief Minister Pinarayi Vijayan saying that Kerala Story 2 is only propagating some kind of a propaganda and division in the society. Amid all this, the row over Kerala Story 2, we have this verdict by the centre saying that creative freedom is allowed.
Rahesha, what the centre today in fact spoke in the court was what was the content that was put on YouTube does not come under the ambit of the union government. It does not come under the ambit of the CBFC, and that it should be looked on. Does not come under the ambit. Therefore, they don't have any say in it. They went on to even state that the right of expression under Article 19(1)(a) is to be enforced, and that the centre respects that right of the filmmaker to do so, and went on to even say that the petition that has been filed is a writ petition, and that the petitioner has in fact there is no local standing for the petitioner to do so, and therefore bringing in a very stark argument against the petition, and in fact demanding that the entire petition be dismissed. Therefore, very categorically, the Information and Broadcast Council, Union Information and Broadcast Ministry and the council have clearly supported the filmmakers for their right to release the movie tomorrow. But the court has deferred it, and tomorrow they'll be hearing the rest of the arguments.
Yes.
Rahesha.
Yes. Thanks, Ashwin, for getting us the latest on this. Well, we have another set of breaking news. This one from India's national capital, where Congress leader Brinder Singh Dhillon has now stoked a row. He has said, he's of course used unparliamentary language, and he said, Modi, teri aise ki taisi. Further adding, I'm not scared of jail. If you have dared now, you should in the future too. Now remember, all these derogatory remarks which the Congress youth leaders are giving to the Prime Minister and the BJP comes just few days after Congress's shirtless protest there at Bharat Mandapam during the AI summit. And this is not the first time that Congress has passed such unparliamentary, derogatory language to the Prime Minister of India. Take a listen to the reactions that are coming in on this.
कांग्रेस के वर्कर्स प्रधानमंत्री नरेंद्र मोदी जी को ये कह रहे हैं कि मोदी तेरी ऐसी की तैसी। इससे ये स्पष्ट होता है कि कांग्रेस के वर्कर्स बाकी के कांग्रेस के वर्कर्स को भड़काने का प्रयास कर रहे हैं और प्रधानमंत्री नरेंद्र मोदी जी के ऊपर हमला करवाने का प्रयास कर रहे हैं। कांग्रेस पार्टी आज एक टुकड़े टुकड़े कांग्रेस बन चुकी है, जिसकी मानसिकता देश के प्रधानमंत्री का अपमान करना ही नहीं, देश के प्रधानमंत्री को हानि पहुंचाना है। एक एक कर कांग्रेस के नेता सिर्फ और सिर्फ देश का विरोध करते हैं, नेकेड नंगे प्रोटेस्ट करते हैं और अब प्रधानमंत्री नरेंद्र मोदी जी के खिलाफ अपशब्द बोल रहे हैं। कांग्रेस पार्टी एक अर्बन नक्सली कांग्रेस है, मुस्लिम लीग माओवादी कांग्रेस है, जिसकी सिर्फ एक ही डेस्टिनेशन है, जिसको सिर्फ
to my reporter regarding this. Take a listen to what the Congress leader actually said.
आओ शुरू करते हैं, हम खुद गिरफ्तारियां देते हैं पंजाब में, आप भी दो सब गिरफ्तारियां। अगर इतना बड़ा काम किया है डेयरिंग का तो आगे भी डेयरिंग रखो। ऐसे इसको मोदी को बोलो, मोदी तेरी ऐसी की तैसी, मोदी तेरे को देखेंगे सामने से, आ तेरे में दम है, डराने किसको डराना है, आ तेरे में दम है, पंजाब वाले आगे लगे हैं, थोड़ा सा पीछे से साथ दे दो, यही आप सबसे उम्मीद है।
All right, my colleague Tejshri is now joining me live. Tejshri, this is not the first time that Congress has given out such derogatory, unparliamentary language towards the Prime Minister. Tell us more about this, because early in the past, Congress also went ahead and even abused the Prime Minister's mother.
Well, absolutely. You see, not for the first time, something like this we are hearing from the Congress party leaders for the Prime Ministers. As you rightly mentioned, Resha, earlier also, there have been such kind of instances where they, in fact, abused directly or in an indirect manner to the Prime Minister, or for that matter, his family members as well. But now, apparently, here they were protesting against the arrest of the chief of Indian Youth Congress, Uday Bhanu Chib. And moreover, they were talking about walking on the footprints of Mahatma Gandhi, and using that stage and then speaking such kind of language is something, in fact, which should have been avoided by the leaders.
Right, Tejshri, absolutely. Thanks for getting us the latest on this, Tejshri. Well, India's race to energy independence is not just about more power plants. It's about smarter choices by every citizen. From homes saving 30% on bills to factories cutting millions of units, consumer behavior is the new superpower. Technology gives the tools, while conscious Indians harness them for a greener tomorrow. Leading this revolution for over 60 years is Schneider Electric. In conversation with NDTV's Deepak Sharma, MD and CEO, Schneider Electric India sheds light on the roadmap. Take a look.
India's progress is powered by energy, but true progress lies in how wisely we use it. At Schneider Electric, we believe that the most sustainable energy is the energy we save. Every unit saved through smarter technologies and conscious choices brings us closer to a greener future. We have been at the forefront of driving sustainable progress in India for the last 60 plus years, and we are here to electrify, automate, and digitize every industry, business, and home. Let's power the future responsibly. Join the One Unit mission. Be a Green Yodha.
Well, slipping into a very short break, but come right back. Lots more lineup for you on NDTV 24/7.
Hello, Moto.
Motorola, India's leading AI smartphone brand. Motorola Signature, India's #1 camera phone. Grab Motorola Signature today.
He has tracked the pulse of power from Washington to Korea. Witnessed history being made in global capitals and conflict zones. Brought clarity to complex issues of national security and international affairs. Aditya Raj Kaul, covering international affairs like no one else. Only on NDTV Network.
First India tour in your city. Rag on with Shankar Ehsaan Loy and Siddharth Mahadevan and Shivam Mahadevan. 5 times melody, 5 times Masti with NDTV Good Times. Go grab your tickets.
Alright team, our new order show is ready. Now we need a promo. Something cool, something sharp.
Well, I'm sure we'll be having outstanding reviews, solid suggestions,
Expert advice, the latest trends. It's a lot simpler. We'll help people make the right auto decisions. It's got the cool stuff, geeky stuff, serious stuff, all of it, so that you can discover, decide and drive. I'm Siddharth Sharma and I am your Automate.
What seems settled for me is unfinished business. So I rewind. I pause. I reflect. I dig until what's buried stands up to be counted. Breaking ground, not just headlines, the meaning behind them. This is Breaking Ground with me, Vedika Sood.
straight from the heart of the newsroom to the core of the stories shaping your world. Join me, Gargi Raut, as I track all the developments as they break. Live from the NDTV newsroom, weekdays at 4 p.m.
First India tour in your city. Rag on with Shankar Ehsaan Loy and Siddharth Mahadevan and Shivam Mahadevan. 5 times melody, 5 times masti with NDTV Good Times. Go grab your tickets.
Sound check हो गया? Visuals ready? Lights okay? Everything is ready? Wait, are you ready? ये सिर्फ एक कॉन्सर्ट नहीं है. This is my life. This is my story. One night, no repeats. Book your tickets now.
इनको यहाँ से जाना ही होगा.
जय मां दुर्गा! और क्यों रोए?
There is no bigger battle in 2026. And nobody has reported Bengal like I have. Buckle up for an unforgettable election thriller. Will the BJP breach Mamta's fortress?
TMC जावे, BJP आसपे.
Can Didi fight off her life's biggest challenge?
বিজেপি ডাবল ইঞ্জিন সরকার এই লড়াই বাঁচতে হবে।
Battleground Bengal with Manogya Loiwal.
The fury of Operation Sindhu.
So many attacks.
The chaos and cries of disaster.
Hello, good evening and welcome to Nationwide at 6 on NDTV. I am Ankit Tyagi. Our focus this evening, ladies and gentlemen, on two very important stories. One, of course, is the NCERT versus judges. A chapter in class 8th book of NCERT has triggered the judiciary. The CJI has taken suo motu cognizance and that has raised many questions. We'll get to the bottom of those questions on the course of the show. And then we'll shift our focus to this very unfortunate, sad story coming in from Goa. Another Thar, young people, and a 65-year-old killed. The young and the reckless are claiming lives, and after that, very quickly, he was given bail. What message are we sending across the country? This is not the only case. Life once lost doesn't come back. I have this full story for you, and also how parents should watch this very, very carefully. Your young adults, minors, should not be given the car if they don't drive responsibly. Minors should not be given car in any case. But I want to shift focus to our top story this evening. That is, of course, the NCERT versus the judges. It's a big face-off, in fact, between the judiciary and the NCERT, and through NCERT, let me say, between the judiciary and the government, over a new Class 8 textbook. The Supreme Court has expressed grave concern, the CJI taking the matter in his court, a suo motu cognizance, after senior advocates Kapil Sibal, Abhishek Manu Singhvi from the bar, in fact, went and said that this chapter of the NCERT, which discusses corruption in judiciary and lists pending cases in courts as the chief challenges, has irked the judiciary. The Chief Justice of India, Justice Surya Kant, has taken suo motu cognizance of this, warning that the court will not allow anyone to defame the institutions. After the court said this, sources are telling NDTV that the Supreme Court and the High Court judges are extremely perturbed. They feel this is an attack on the judiciary. Now, after the judiciary was angry, government sources tell us that the centre is set with the NCERT. So NCERT has been pushed and the government says that, listen, we have nothing to do with it. But we are extremely upset with what the NCERT has done. They indicate that the portion of the judicial corruption could be removed, adding that children should be taught inspirational things. Now, this controversy has triggered a larger debate. A debate about whether the judges are thin-skinned. Is there zero corruption as far as judiciary is concerned? We can list out cases after cases, and the recent one of Justice Verma, which tells you, ladies and gentlemen, that the corruption, unlike other arms of the governance, of executive, of judiciary, of every aspect of our society, judiciary is also not left untouched. Are the judges being thin-skinned? And why suo motu cognizance when it comes to you and not to others?